And when you find that,
then you'll find
BBC News.
This is BBC News. These are the latest headlines in the UK and around the world. The British Prime Minister will face a vote of confidence in his leadership this evening. It means at least 15% of the parliamentary party, equivalent to 54 Tory MPs, have submitted a letter of no confidence in Boris Johnson's premiership.
I have followed the rules that we have in place. I notified the Prime Minister yesterday that the threshold had been reached, and we agreed the timetable for a confidence vote to take place.
Close friend of Boris Johnson and former Minister Jessie Norman becomes the latest MP to submit a letter accusing the Prime Minister of presiding over a culture of casual law-breaking at Number 10. But at least 180 Conservative MPs, a majority, will have to vote against the Prime Minister if he's to leave office. Several cabinet ministers have said they'll stand behind him.
I think that he will deliver for this country, and I think he would go on to win a general election.
The Prime Minister says he welcomes the opportunity to make his case to MPs. And in other news, Britain says it'll send long-range rocket launchers to Ukraine. Russia's President Putin responds by threatening to attack new targets. Hello and welcome if you're watching in the UK or around the world. It's been confirmed that the Prime Minister Boris Johnson will face a vote of confidence today in his leadership of the Conservative Party. That vote will take place between 6 and 8 o'clock this evening. There'll be a count straight away with the result expected shortly afterwards. Only Conservative MPs will take part. The vote's been triggered by a threshold being met of at least 54 MPs, writing to Sir Graham Brady, who chairs the Backbench 1922 committee, saying they no longer have confidence in Mr Johnson's leadership. Conservative MPs began to turn against the Prime Minister after revelations about gatherings held during COVID lockdowns. And the numbers gathered pace after Sue Gray's report into that Partygate scandal. We'll talk to our political correspondent shortly, but first let's hear Sir Graham Brady's announcement from this morning. That was Sir Graham Brady, chairman of the 1922 committee, speaking earlier this morning. Well, let's cross live now to my colleague Victoria in Westminster. Victoria.
Thank you very much. Hello. Yes, we're on College Green in front of the Palace of Westminster. I'm with one of Boris Johnson's top team. Therese Coffey is the Work and Pensions Secretary. She is a member of his cabinet. We've had a number of cabinet ministers this morning tweet their 100% backing, essentially, for the Prime Minister ahead of this no confidence vote tonight. Therese Coffey, good morning to you.
Good morning, Victoria.
It's all over for your boss, isn't it?
Far from it. I expect the Prime Minister will be endorsed today by a significant majority of the party.
Sajid Javid, the Health Secretary, more from College Green. Do let me know on TikTok, Instagram or Twitter what you think of the fact, whoever you vote for, what you think of the fact that there is a no confidence vote tonight in the Prime Minister. That vote will be at 6 UK time. The Prime Minister himself will address his own backbench MPs, his own Conservative MPs at 4 o'clock this afternoon. That will be his last opportunity to try and persuade enough of them to vote for him. The key number is 180 MPs. And then we should get the results before 9-ish UK time. But as I said, do let me know what you think of the fact that there is a no confidence vote in the Prime Minister Boris Johnson tonight. Let's go back to Luxmy now, who's got some more of the day's news.
Victoria, thank you. Britain has announced it's to send long-range mobile rocket launchers to Ukraine along with ammunition. The announcement follows last week's decision by Washington to supply Kyiv with 4 similar rocket launcher vehicles. In an interview on Sunday, President Putin warned against such moves. Our correspondent Joe Inwood. Last year's Glasgow Climate Conference set ambitious targets for countries to cut their greenhouse gas emissions and reduce their reliance on fossil fuels like coal. Well, 6 months on, what progress have the big emitters made? And how has Russia's invasion of Ukraine forced governments to rethink their energy priorities? Questions that will be asked at a big UN climate change conference starting in Bonn today. We'll have a special day of coverage from there later. But first, this report from our environment correspondent, Justin Rowlatt. A shortage of nurses is posing a risk to patient safety and causing even more to leave the profession. That's according to the Royal College of Nursing, which says that only a quarter of shifts had the planned number of registered nurses on duty. The government says it's recruiting thousands more nurses and that action is being taken to tackle the COVID backlog. Transport for London is advising against travel on the Underground today as thousands of staff go on strike. Large parts of the network will be closed as members of the RMT union take the action in a row over jobs and pensions. The disruption is expected to continue until tomorrow morning. The Queen has said she's humbled and deeply touched by the response to her Platinum Jubilee following 4 days of celebrations to mark her 70 years on the throne. In a written statement, she said she'd been inspired by the kindness, joy and kinship on display during the extended weekend. Our royal correspondent Daniela Ralph takes a look back at an unprecedented national party. For the first time since 1958, Wales have qualified for the World Cup after they beat Ukraine 1-0 in a dramatic playoff final in Cardiff. They'll be in the same group as England, the USA and Iran in the finals, which are being hosted in Qatar from the end of November. Hal Griffith reports. Now, a reminder of our main news this hour. Boris Johnson is facing a vote of no confidence by Tory MPs amid anger across the party at the disclosures over lockdown parties in Downing Street. Sir Graham Brady, chairman of the Backbench 1922 committee, has confirmed he's now received the 54 letters from Tory MPs needed to trigger a vote. Jeremy Hunt has just tweeted in the past few minutes that the Conservative Party must now decide if it wishes to change its leader. Because of the situation in Ukraine, this was not a debate I wanted to have now, but under our rules we must do that. The vote by secret ballot will take place at Westminster between 6 and 8 p.m, with a count taking place immediately afterwards. And we'll have a lot more on that later from Westminster with Joanna Gosling later. But for me, goodbye.